Well, whenever she shows up, she shows up.
I'll send her a little reminder. She probably forgot.
No. Well, that last name sounds familiar, but I don't think I know her.
Yeah. I think she had read before. It's all right, Char.
Okay.
All good.
All good. It's the time of the year we're allowed to be late. There's no time limit.
It's members' night. We're not worried
That's
about
right.
anything.
Okay, we're ready? I noticed well, either way I go in Galileo View, okay, no, don't worry about it. Well, we can all be sort of spotlighted in a way. Okay, are we ready? Sorry. Electric Mermaid Emcee Derek Hanebury is a Puerto writer of poetry, fiction, and creative nonfiction who taught writing here at Airland College for many years. His new book, Something Else, is altogether is out. Hopefully he's on something new now.
Thank you, Karl, and good evening, everybody out there in Zoom land and here at Char's Landing. Good to see everybody for our last chapter of The Electric Mermaid for 2025. It's hard to believe that this year has gone by already, but there's no fighting it. Time moves on. So looking forward to tonight. Char overcame unsurmountable odds to conquer the changes in Zoom and get things happening here. So as always, thank you, Char, for hosting us and doing all you do. Yes. So we're not necessarily going to be spotlighted like normal on when we're reading. So we'll be this size on the Zoom screen as we are, and that's okay because we're all equals. We're all members, and that's all good. So yeah,
we're all members, so we're allowed to be that.
Yeah. Anyway, I want to mention that we're Zooming to you and coming live to everybody here from Port Alberni, which is on the unceded territory of the Petcheseth and Sishat First Nations. And we're grateful to them for sharing their land with us. And as we are grateful to Char to hosting us here in her beautiful space. Yes, thank you. And so without further ado, we're going to get down to business here. And because it is members' night, you're not restricted by the 5-minute time limit. And you can go a little longer if you'd like. And nobody's going to ring any bells or the cane won't come out and grab you by the neck. So we're going to start off with Jennifer Wenn over there in London, Ontario. There you
Evening.
are, Jen. Good evening. How are you?
I'm okay, Derek. How's things out there?
Very good.
Good.
Come a long ways from Naomi Crescent and Santa Monica, but we're here.
Yeah, you went a long way to get away from it.
That's right. Other end of the continent.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to the play that I've been working on, that I've done a couple of excerpts from. Here's the script. There's a draft written of the whole thing, end to end.
Beautiful.
I'm going to do 4 monologues, all delivered by the main character. They have different contexts, but I'll set them up one at a time. And this, you may recall, was the Roman ruler we know as Elagabalus, called Various by family in the play. That's more likely what she went by. I became convinced she's a trans woman and wrote a poem cycle that's in my latest book, Emergence, but now there's a whole play. So in this first one, we're getting on towards the end of Act 1, I believe it is, out of 4. And the Various is, after having been sort of arm twisted a little bit, more than a little bit, trying to rally the troops of the Third Legion to take on the emperor they view as usurping the throne. So this is the speech. Now, at this point in time, her understanding of who she is, which is never 100% clear, certainly is buried at this point in time, and you'll see references to her maleness, which is what's going on at the minute. And she's there with her mother, Julia, grandmother, Lady Misa, and tutor, soon-to-be General Gannis. Soldiers of the Third Legion, you may see me as young in years, and indeed I am, but age is not the only measurement. It is not a complete picture of anyone, and certainly not of me, for I also stand here as Elagable's high priest, and I am the newest member of a proud family, a generous family, a family with a long history here in Syria, and one that has provided me with the best education, and, as you see, is very much with me today, and always. We were instrumental in bringing peace to the empire under Septimius, a tradition that continued under Emperor Antoninus, or Caracalla as we knew him. And now Caracalla's heir has the rightful claim to the throne. Today, here with you, I want to reveal that I am that heir. The time has come for me to proudly present myself as his son, illegitimate perhaps, but his son nonetheless, and I'm determined, with your help, to end this usurpation and restore Syria to its rightful place in charge of the empire. We will not be denied, so follow me to power, to wealth, to victory. Well, that's that speech. Now, Varys was no such thing as Caracalla's son. That was a scheme dreamed up by the family to try and reclaim the throne from one Macrinus. And they are victorious. And Varys does become emperor as a result. This is moving on much farther. And Varys has been emperor for a while and is coming to terms with who she is. And trying to portray this was a little tricky because the evidence is there. And there's a statement that is made at the end of this next monologue, soliloquy, really, that is, I think, accurate. But this is centuries before our definition of a trans woman. Anyways, in this scene, the stage is totally empty. There are a few different groups, and they all sort of get the spotlight one at a time. And there are quick little exchanges that lead up to this final, as I say, soliloquy. Varys being by herself, presenting male, but by herself, and all the others kind of step back behind her. One character, Hierocles, who becomes her husband, asks Varys, "What is it? Please tell me." And that triggers this. In a way, I'm only just figuring it out. In another, I've always known. You remember I mentioned my special voice? It was more than a passing thing. She was always with me. That ghostly childhood voice is now part of me and has reached full cry. In fact, she is me, or I am her, despite gesturing to herself, unfortunate appearances. Only Elagable knows why. I used to dance when I was small to make peace with her, but anymore, even when I am able to, it avails nothing. So what now then? In my position, I can surround myself with feminine beauty if I choose, but that wasn't it. Here was then a thought: look to marry other women, hunt for the image to embrace that would make me whole, the spirit to clasp that would bring me peace. Didn't work. I yearned to really understand, so away from the viper's nest of the palace, I befriended ladies of the Lupinaria, one in particular, dear, lovely Sophia. I freed her, of course, and she became a good friend. Soon, though, I burned to prove my own beauty and likewise inflamed with desire. But what could I do? Intimacy, sex can be wonderful, but that's not it. Dress up, sure, even impersonate Venus for a glorious hour against all protests. Not enough. So I lived through them, through Sophia, or tried to. Still not enough, never enough. It is a torment unceasing and unbearable. I am consumed to ashes with the hunger to feel as they do, to know what they were born with. Then all the lights come up. Half the empire to the physician who can give me a woman's body. And that's curtain and end of that act. And a lupinaria, I should say, is a brothel. And Sophia was an enslaved sex worker, at least that's how she starts. And now we're getting very near the end of the play. Things have gone very much sideways. And this one is really a true soliloquy. Various is absolutely alone for this particular speech here. And she's in a room at the palace, and there's not a lot there. One of the things is a table, and on the table is a little coin, a denarius. That was one of the most common coins in the Roman Empire. I think it was a day's wage for a soldier or something. So Various moves to the table and picks up the denarius, looks at it. Pretty, I think, and youthful naturally. A laurel wreath, of course. Alas for a tiara. And my eyes, looking for answers, I once thought, but maybe they were searching first for questions. She puts the denarius down. The empire is preserved, but like some reborn hydra, the poisonous jaws are endless, relentless, and won't stay dead. My Heracles is not acknowledged. Formal power for women is still resisted. The Roman elite still cling to their motley crew of gods and goddesses. My great union under Elagabal not countenanced, and above all, my inborn difference not understood, except perhaps by one or two dear ones, a joy to know, and yet an ordeal I must face every day. Then there is dear grandmother, whose plotting is aimed unerringly at my downfall. Result, the ever fickle Praetorian Guard now demand to see Mama and me. Oh, we will go, or I will at least. I fear they lie in wait, but the path is laid, so I will make the attempt. Why did all this come to the beautiful, twirling child I once was? Only Elagabal knows that. If the worst happens, what then of my memory? What will become of that? Violated and besmirched, I suspect. My name will be dragged through the muck and mire. And what name will it be? Varius? Antoninus? I hear some are already calling me Elagabalus. At least that is a nod to my devotion, I guess. But if not now, then someday may my legacy triumph. She moves to the table and picks up the coin again. Look at my denarius and know that I tried to turn the world right side up. Consider this little coin again, and know Rome once had a young, beautiful empress from faraway Emcee. Antoninus was the regal name that she adopted. It was the same as Caracalla, so it's another scheme to make it look like father and son. And Elagabalus is what we know her as today. Final one. She has gone to the Praetorian Guard. Her mother, Julia, has insisted on going. And so they're both there together. And there's a little exchange, especially between Julia and the head of the Praetorian Guard commander. And he ends up saying to Varius, say your piece and have done with it. And then Varius. Noble soldiers of the Praetorian Guard, I salute you. I shared a battlefield with many of you at Antioch, some fighting by my side and now in the Guard, some admittedly against me. But differences are all in the past. What survives now is our commitment to the future of Rome, a commitment shared by my mother, Julia. Some of you will remember her from Antioch. Now, as she so rightly said, she sits in the Senate, an innovation I am proud of. Why should women not lead? Including me, for yes, I proudly claim the title of Empress. because that is the one that calls out to me, a realization I did not come to easily or lightly. So I am, shall we say, out of the ordinary. But that does not in any way diminish my ability to rule with my husband by my side. I came to the throne 4 years ago, young, certainly, and I made mistakes, but I am now 18 and have learned much, so much, and am ready and anxious to keep applying that wisdom and adding to my accomplishments. The frontiers are secure. I found Hadrian's lost obeliscus and re-erected it in his honor. Usurpers and traitors have been dealt with, harshly, perhaps at times, but necessarily. And the city now boasts the noble Elagaballium, where I dance my truth round the altar. Yes, I am proud of that too, for unification of religion under one deity is Rome's future. Don't you see it? Unity, above all. We must have unity to take Rome into tomorrow. The Praetorian Guard's little speech is noble words, but ones that omit and distort much. You ask for more time, but time to do what? Finish turning Rome upside down and ruining it? And then more happens and Varys and her mother both end up being murdered. That's not the end of the play. I found a way to end it. Took a little doing, but I found a way to end it. But they are murdered. And the business of wanting to be called empress, yes, there's a source that talks about that. And wanting a women's body, yes, there's a source that talks about that too. And other stuff. There's stuff that, I didn't use for one reason or another. Some of it I thought was just too far out. Other stuff, you don't have time for everything. But those are 4 speeches from the main character.
Fabulous. Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen, and thanks for sharing that. That's fascinating, and I really hope you can get that mounted. I mean, is the London Little Theatre still going there, the community theatre?
No. There is an amateur theater out and it's the old Park Theater out on Dundas Street East, if that was there when you were here. But other than that, there's the Grand Theater, which is the professional theater in town. What I'm doing right now is I'm working on organizing a Zoom read-through of the whole thing, trying to get sort of a one-to-one correspondence between actors and parts. And it's a fairly tall order because even for a Zoom read-through, I'll need like 15 people or something.
Yeah.
The whole cast, if you mounted it, you'd need around 25, and there's some video projections. And
yeah,
it's all doable if you're a Grand Theater or a Stratford Festival, but would they ever put this on? I can't see it, but oh well.
Yeah.
I wrote it.
Yes. Oh, fabulous. And it's got so much of, the conflict that is inherent in the situation, and then the political conflict, and then the historical context on top of it. It's got everything that it needs. It could be. In fact, I think the screenplay is next. There, I throw down a little.
Thank you. It's Shakespearean in scope. That's the best way I can explain it.
Yeah.
It's like one of Shakespeare's bigger plays, although not as long.
Yeah.
It would be 2.25 hours, not including intermission. Yeah. So it'd be fairly substantial.
Beautiful.
But not impossible if somebody wants to take it on.
No.
And what you heard is not the ending. There is more of a cathartic ending, but that's not it.
Sweet. Well, you must be very proud to have soldiered through to the end and found the end, because I know large projects like that can get a little scary at times, I know.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah.
Thanks, Derek.
Kudos. All right. Thank you so much. All right, and our second reader, Jennifer, I don't believe is here, Jennifer Pley, so we're going to just skip ahead. We're going back out to Zoomland again. Leslie, Omohundro, Bronczkowski, and Deutschland. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you doing tonight, Leslie?
I'm doing good, considering that I only slept 2 hours.
Oh, my goodness. Whoa, yeah. Well, you're on holidays, so you can go back to bed after the Electric Mermaid, right? Exactly. Okay. What are you going to share with us tonight?
This is a short story, and it's called The Light in the Dark.
Okay.
Okay. I know that what I did was a sin. There's no other word for it. But they had penned us in like animals in our own neighborhood, like we weren't people and the same as them. And it had turned us into animals. That's how I see it. Maybe things would have turned out all right if Francis had never told the white girl about the coal cellar. That's where it started. We had found the cellar, and it was ours. I was an animal, and an animal defends its territory. Without the cellar, I had nothing left, not a single place. We didn't even have a whole house for ourselves, Mama, Father, and me. Just the 3 rooms upstairs. Downstairs, other people lived. And when Courtney was born, I had to share my room with her. Father had hung a curtain across the niche where her bed and the crate with her clothes stood. But still, all you ever heard was, "Shh, the baby's sleeping." Most of the time, Francis and I were outside, behind the house, on the old scrap heap with things still left over from before the War of Separation. Francis was already a nutcase back then. She had a whole house with a garden and her own swing. We could have played nicely there, but she preferred rummaging around with me in that heap. Fine by me. In the boxes, there were mostly tattered uniforms or yellowed wedding photos of some white people who had lived there before. Francis went for those old pictures like a flight of buttermilk. Now, when I think about it, I think that maybe I wasn't all that important to her back then. I was just another piece of the heap. But when we found the cellar doors under the crate with the uniforms, for one moment we were equals. I thought then that the world was in order. I swear one thing, I had never seen that white girl before. I would have remembered. I had never been over there with Mama, not once. Sometimes one of them came to us with her father to bring Mama her cleaning money, but that was all. This girl simply appeared. I was just about to pour Francis the lemonade. Mama had been given it by one of her ladies, when suddenly a voice called down from above. "Hi." I must have looked pretty stupid. A white girl was leaning over the opening, waving down at us. Francis took the bottle out of my hand and poured herself a glass. "Hey." Francis stared at her glass, embarrassed. "What's that supposed to mean?" That was a stupid question on my part. I'm not blind. I was so mad at Francis for the first time ever. I set my glass down on the crate. "Who is she? What is she doing here?" I shouted at her. "My new friend," she whispered hoarsely, as if speaking had suddenly become hard. I thought, "Don't choke," I thought. Then nobody said anything. I looked at Francis and then at the white girl who was still hanging over the opening, staring dumbly, and I didn't know what to do. So I stood up, climbed the steps, and ran off. That's just how mad I was. The street lights at the intersection were already on when I got home, and that was not a good sign. Courtney was asleep in her niche when I got upstairs, and my cold food was waiting on the table. The grease floated on top in the hollow of the mashed potatoes. "I'm not going to stand there and cook twice for a child," Mama said. She didn't ask why I was late. I was glad of that. I didn't have to talk. I wiped my mouth with my hand. I still had 2 of the little bags of pumpkin seeds from Patsy's in my pocket. Francis had stolen them from the shelf yesterday while I was paying for the lollipops. Patsy was the only white woman who had stayed in our neighborhood. The others had moved their shops over to Kearney Street. "They're Jews," Francis said. "White people can't stand them either." Still, we all knew they were taking advantage of us with their prices for salt and green soap and things like that. On Kearney Street, you could get 2 bars for the same money. Francis' father said that was the way of the world, the same way the poor Jews had beaten up the Palestinians as soon as they got their own country. He was a doctor and knew about white people. I gnawed on the pumpkin seeds in the dark in bed. I didn't even spit out the shells. I didn't care that all that salt made me thirsty. I didn't get up to fetch a glass of water either. I was still that mad. When I woke up the next morning, I thought maybe it had all been a stupid dream, the white girl and Francis and all of it. You have dreams like that sometimes. When I walked around the house to the heap, the doors to the coal cellar were standing wide open, and I could tell right away that she was inside. The trunk with the old uniforms Francis and I had always used to hide the doors had been pushed to the side. That thing is heavy when you have to move it alone. What do you want? I asked her, trying to look indifferent. She was sitting on Francis's trunk, the one we had dragged down together from the heap. Not you, she said. She bit into a chocolate cookie she was holding, her mouth already smeared all over with chocolate. I made a point of saying nothing. I sat down on my own trunk and watched her break the cookie apart and lick the filling off with her tongue. Mama sometimes got that kind as a gift from her white ladies. What do you want here? I asked her again. Me, the girl said. I'm waiting for Francis. Then you have to wait somewhere else, I said. Francis doesn't live here, and besides, she never comes this early. But she just shrugged, bent down quickly, and scraped her foot across the ground as if she was looking for a cookie crumb she'd lost somewhere between those old chunks of coal. Like you could find anything anywhere in that old coal cellar. It was so dark down there, just that little bit of light that fell in from the sun, nothing else. Sometimes I think that's how dark it must be in heaven, like it was in the cellar back then. They say there's no light there either, just a little now and then, when a shooting star flashes past. Mama used to say that when she dies, she'll take a look first at where her fine white ladies with all their glittery things end up, and then she'll run the other way. She knows she won't land in hell. She already has that here with the whites. That's how I imagine heaven, like the cellar, where you have your own peace in the dark and don't get beaten up like a Palestinian without her own country. All that went through my head as the white girl sat on Francis's trunk, licking the expensive cookies off her finger right in front of my face, as if the cellar belonged to her and not to me and Francis. She's stealing my land, I thought, and then I'll have nothing. I didn't want to hate her. They only came to us when they had trouble with their own kind. I already knew that. But I could still feel the anger rising in me, my head boiling over, and I leaned across the crate toward her and slapped her so hard that the cookie fell out of her mouth. You white Jew, I shouted. She was stronger than I was, that girl, but she didn't fight back, and I slapped her again and then again. All the while she didn't move. You white Jew, you white Jew, I shouted every time I slapped her. She began crying terribly, but she didn't even raise a hand. By then her nose was already bleeding badly. I could feel it on my hand. All right, I said at last, turned around, climbed up the steps, and just ran. Where to? I still don't know to this day. Later, when I got to Francis's house, my hand hurt badly and was already turning blue where I had hit her. That was the only thing I was sorry about. The street lights were already on, but Francis was still sitting in the garden on the swing. It was as if she were waiting for me. I sat down on the other swing. We could hear the traffic from Kearney Street. It was so quiet in the garden. That was nice, the quiet. Neither of us looked at the other. We couldn't, but I could see her hand moving in the shadow, playing with the chain. I knew it was the amber cross from me. I had hung it around her neck back then when we cut our fingers in our bedroom and mixed our blood together. Father had gotten it from the customer with the burst appendix. The old man would have died outright if Father hadn't driven so fast. We didn't say anything for a long time, I think. At least, by the time we did, the noise from the cars had died down. Only the crickets could be heard. You hear them when it's this late. You didn't have to hit her, Francis finally said. She turned her head toward me. I know. Why didn't you come? I asked, trying to see her face, even though it was dark. She started crying. My father knows her father. They're not all bad, she said. I didn't know what to say. It felt strange to me seeing Francis cry. I know, I said at last, but I thought it was our secret. Yeah. Then we both kept swinging and didn't say anything else. Eventually, I got up and went home. It was dark in our house. My food was on the kitchen table, but I scraped it off the plate and into the compost and went to my room. In bed, I had to cry too. It hurt me so much inside. Why? I couldn't say. I kept thinking. I didn't even know her name, the girl's. Frances didn't come for the rest of the summer. I mostly waited on the front step of our house, and I didn't go back to her house. Soon school started, and Frances and I ended up in different classes. I only saw her in gym during the 7th period. We didn't have much to say to each other, and when she picked the girls for her basketball team, I wasn't on the list. Sometimes we saw each other in the locker room. I could see she still wore my cross. Once, when we were alone, I went up to her. "Hey, Frances," I said, "you can keep it." "What?" "That, the cross." "Oh, yeah, thanks." I started singing in the gospel choir in the mornings before school and joined the newspaper club. We met every afternoon after school. The newspaper came out once a week on Fridays. My area was the New Life on Kearney Street. The times were changing. A Chinese restaurant had opened at the corner, and black faces smiled from posters hanging from the window of the beauty shop. Even the drugstore had opened a new ethnic section in the summer with skin lighteners and the hair relaxers for our kind of hair. "To think I'd live to see this day," Mama said. I only saw the white girl one more time after that. Lately, white students had started coming to our school too, those long-haired, big-chested girls who spent half the day flicking their hair over their shoulders. One day she was just standing at the hall lockers when I was getting out my stuff for phys ed. "Don't we know each other?" she asked. "Unfortunately," I said. I stuffed my sneakers into my bag. She just laughed and walked on. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, I felt my anger from the summer come rushing back. The bell rang for class and the doors were closing. It was like there was no one else in the hallway but us. I ran after her quickly and grabbed her by the hair so that she had to stop. "Listen, you white piece of shit," I said. "Just get out of here. I couldn't stand you and your stupid laugh before, and I can't stand you now. Don't even think you're welcome here. This is our school. Nobody wanted you here, me least of all. As far as I'm concerned, you can rot in hell." That's how I spoke to her. With every word, I pulled harder on her hair until I had a whole bushel in my hand. The whole time she whimpered like a dog. She didn't say anything and didn't try to pull away. She just looked at me with wide eyes and then at the hair in my hand. You could already see red spots in her head where I had pulled the hair out. Snot was running out of her nose. But even then I didn't stop. I think I started crying myself. Somehow I couldn't stop. I was just that mad. "Get out of here," I shouted. "Just go home or go lie down on the next train track for all I care. Just get out of here and leave me alone." Then I threw the hair onto the floor and stomped on her books that were scattered all over and left her standing there. I got a demerit from the phys ed teacher. That's how late I was for class. The next day, the workers on the early shift found the girl on the tracks. Her head and legs had been cut off by the train. We had a moment of silence in first period at school, and that evening it was in the newspaper that she had died instantly. After school, she had gone there. She hadn't gone home at all, and had simply waited for the next train. There was no farewell note, no nothing. Her name was Bettern. That's a strange name, isn't it? For one of them. Wait, that was it. That was it. Oh my God. Maybe if I had known, everything would have turned out differently. Why didn't she just say it? Bettern? I swear, you couldn't tell by looking at her. If I had known, maybe I would have even shared heaven with her.
Ooh. Wow, that was powerful, powerful, Leslie. Nobody would have seen that end coming. Oh my God. Woo. I was feeling like partway through you could almost do a novel around this, and when I see that ending, I could see it as a longer piece too. But it was very, very powerful. It was short work too. Oh, thank you for sharing that. That was amazing. Okay. We're coming live to Char's now, and Vicki Drybrough is next up, going to share some of her work with us at the podium. So glad you stayed up, or got up after your 2 hours sleep, Leslie.
Yeah, I'm staying up the whole time.
Yeah. All right. Enjoy your well-deserved rest, but not until after, okay?
Not until after, right?
Okay.
There, how's that? Is that too low? Is that about right?
That looks good.
Okay.
Yeah, can we hear Vicki okay out there? Just say a few words.
Can you hear me? Out in Zoomland, far away?
I think Karen gave me a thumbs up. Atma gave me, or is that?
I'm struggling a little bit.
Oh, okay.
I'm struggling.
Yeah. All right.
Kathleen, can you hear me? Oh,
Can she speak?
yeah, all right.
Can Kathleen speak?
Kathleen, can you unmute for a second there? She's giving us a thumbs up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Mm. There we go.
Okay. Okay, so everything's ready?
Full screen, you're larger than life and ready to go, Vicki.
Okay. This is chapter 10, but I've called it Christmas at Lavender Bay. I thought today was about Christmas, so I was hunting around for Christmas stories, and I only had one, so this is it. If ever two children needed a few belts of scotch, it would have been me and my brother on Christmas morning. I don't blame our mother. If it had been up to her, she would have let us get up early in the morning and play with our presents all day long. But our father had rules, and we had to follow them. And for some reason, my father loathed Christmas and everything associated with it. We didn't dare mention gifts or shopping or listen to Christmas music in his presence. Just a lot of damn nonsense, he would complain and glare at us as if we were stupid and a nuisance. I remember how my heart fell each time, afraid that he wouldn't allow us to have presents this year. At night, when I couldn't sleep, I wondered why my father didn't want us to be happy.
Can you move the mic over just a little bit, Vicki?
Towards me or
Okay.
away?
I'm about to do it.
Okay.
Towards you.
Towards me?
Yeah,
Like that?
just so you're speaking more directly into
Is
it.
that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Sort of. Okay. Where was I? It's okay. At night, when I couldn't sleep, I wondered why my father didn't want us to be happy. What had we done to disappoint him so much? Some nights I would cry into my pillow and pray that my mother would find a way to save Christmas for us. I used to sneak into Sam's bedroom on Christmas morning, and we would wait, fully dressed, forbidden to make any noise or venture out into the rest of the house. I would look out the window at the damp dimness of the early morning and wonder where the snow was that we saw on Christmas cards. I could only see the brown garden with its few wilted stalks and dead leaves on the ground. There were no laughing children building snowmen and tobogganing. It was all a lie, somebody else's made-up Christmas. We strained our ears for sounds of our mother. I remember her coming into us in her dark blue dressing gown, with the faded pink piping. "Merry Christmas, you two!" She held out her arms and hugged us in turn, giving us a kiss on top of the head. Then she would disappear into the kitchen to light the fire in the stove and make coffee for our father, who remained in bed. We would hurry into the kitchen to the living room door, a single French door that stood open to reveal the dark green Chesterfield under the east-facing window. I pushed in front of Sam and could just make out the Christmas tree, its tinsel and jewel-colored decorations. Sorry. Gleaming softly against the dark wood paneling in the dim light from the window. My eyes darted to the shapes beneath the branches, and I was so relieved I almost cried. They were there, large and small parcels, soft and hard, spilling over each other. Some of those parcels would be for me. Excited and relieved, we returned to the kitchen table to drink our hot chocolate, which tasted wonderful, rich with flavor, warm and delicious. I knew it was the same stuff Mom made us on other winter days, but it was the only time we had it first thing in the morning, so it was special. After breakfast, my father would move aside the battered old three-sided screen in front of the fireplace and kneel down to hold a lighted match to the crumpled paper. Soon there would be a small blaze, and my father would add more wood and replace the screen. The decorations on the tree reflected the moving firelight until it seemed as if a whole village of tiny people were whirling and dancing all over it. Then my brother would crawl under the low-hanging branches and begin to pull out the lovely presents, handing one to each of us and selecting one for himself. We opened them in an orderly and appreciative manner with the appropriate thank yous and exclamations of delight. When I was 8, Christmas changed forever. We gathered up the wrapping paper, putting the reusable sheets in a box, while my brother scrunched up the torn pieces into a large ball. When he moved the screen to put it on the fire, my father snapped, "Don't do that! Can't you see it's too big? It'll flare up and go all over the place." My brother slammed it down and strode into the kitchen. I could feel a poisonous cloud of tension descend on the room. Immediately, I picked up my new book and headed for my room. I passed my brother in the hallway with his coat on. "Where are you going?" He didn't answer me. Around noon, I went out to visit my friend Sandy and deliver a present I had made her. That was when I saw what real families did at Christmas. I could hear the noise as I climbed the stairs to the front door, and I had to knock twice before they heard me. Sandy opened the door and threw her arms around me. "Merry Christmas!" Then she danced away, dragging me after her into the kitchen. "Holly's here!" she shouted to the group of adults gathered around the table. "Merry Christmas, Holly!" They greeted me with big smiles. Sandy's mother was still in her housecoat and fuzzy new pink slippers, smoking a cigarette and laughing. There were lots of glasses on the kitchen table and liquor bottles on the counter. "Was Santa good to you, Holly?" asked Sandy's mother, smiling warmly. "Yes," I answered, overwhelmed by the sound of Sandy's younger brothers playing in the living room and the dog barking. "Come on!" Sandy dragged me on through the hall where her little brother was racing up and down with his new fire engine, screaming as loudly as the siren that wailed out a warning to clear the way. In the living room, boxes and paper were scattered everywhere. A small black dog was barking as it shredded crumpled Christmas paper with its sharp claws. Sandy's youngest brother was seated on the linoleum floor, throwing toys and packages at the dog and yelling, "Rum pum 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 rum pum," while a choir sang on the record player. "Come on, I'll show you my dolls." Sandy led me down the hall to her room, and we went in and closed the door. When I got home, my mother had just put the turkey in the oven. "Let me clean up and we'll go for a walk," she said. We went out into the crisp afternoon, the sun barely visible behind the trees. only spilling onto the road when there was an opening. When we had gone about a mile, my brother appeared from a logging road up ahead and started towards us. We met up and continued on to the end of the road, where we stood and watched the waves slap lazily against the rocks below us. "Why does he do that?" demanded my brother. My mother asked him what he meant. "He makes everything miserable. Whenever anyone is enjoying themselves, he has to do something to spoil it." "He doesn't mean to," answered my mother. "Yes, he does," retorted my brother. "Everything has to be done just the way he wants, or he would get mad." "Oh, come on, it's not as bad as all that," said my mother. "I'm sure he wishes he could enjoy Christmas the way you do." "Well, he doesn't try very hard," grumbled my brother. Christmas dinner was delicious. Everybody had 2 helpings plus peppermint ice cream for dessert. My father insisted on washing the dishes and waved my mother out of the kitchen. As my brother and I dried, we goofed around, teasing each other and being silly. He made a comment, which I no longer remember, and I turned to hit him. The dessert dish I was drying fell on the floor. It shattered loudly, and I stepped back in horror. "That does it," my father turned on me. "You just can't stop fooling around, can you? You're 8 years old, for goodness sake. When are you going to grow up and act your age?" I gulped in terror and fled to get the broom. "And you," my father turned to my brother, "you're older than she is. You should know better." I was sweeping the glass into a pile when my brother's quiet voice spat back. "You miserable bastard. She didn't do it on purpose. We can't have any fun, not even at Christmas." My father's face had gone white. "Nobody talks to me like that in my own house. In the morning, you get your things and leave. You're no longer welcome here." "No!" My mother's voice came from the kitchen doorway. "You stay out of this. You're always making excuses for him." With soap suds still dripping from his reddened hands, my father grabbed his coat and slammed the door behind him. My brother went to live down the road at Haddon's farm. He traded room and board for chores after school and on weekends. He stayed in one of the snug cabins down by the beach, which they rented out in the summer. It was very cozy, and I loved to sit by the heater on winter afternoons and read my book, while he built model boats out of wood. Sometimes our mother came too, and we laughed and drank hot chocolate like everything was normal.
Wow. A child's Christmas in Canada. Yeah. Wow, that was wonderful, Vicki. Thank you for that. Yeah, that really took us there, as your writing always does. And yeah, I think all of us have one of those Christmases that we will never forget, that where everything kind of went upside down or wrong. Weddings as well, yes. Oh my God, yes, for sure. Yeah, it's Murphy's Law. All right, we're going back out to Zoomland now, and Kathleen is on deck here
Up. All right.
in her Christmas sweater.
Yeah. Well, I'm still working on these 3 kids, trying to get them to Llangollen, and they're in a canal boat. All right. So, all right. So what are you researching now, Nico? Parker asked. Look ahead, Maddie shouted, and then Parker knew the answer to his question. Check that the lock is empty and the paddles are closed. Nico and Parker each grabbed a windlass and stepped off the boat. Luckily, the lock was empty and the paddles were closed. Nico then showed Parker how to open the bottom gate so Maddie could bring the boat into the big empty space, which was like a giant bathtub, except it had high cement walls and only the bottom had water in it. Parker looked over the edge into the once empty space that was now full of their boat. Maddie looked very small way down there at the tiller, very small, but determined and dependent now on Nico and Parker. Nico closed the first bottom gate, and then Parker started to close the second. "Don't push the gate, Parker," Nico yelled. "You could hit your head and brain yourself. Do as I just did. Stand with the gate behind you and push with your bum." Parker thought that was a pretty funny way to do it, but soon he found the gate moved more easily that way. Nico then walked to the closed top gate and used the windlass to open one of the top paddles. As Parker did the same on the other side, he stopped to look down at the water gushing into the lock. Just at that moment, a scrawny hand covered Parker's hand on the windlass and continued to turn it to open the paddle. Never let go of the windlass. Just keep turning it slowly until the paddles are completely open. I've seen a windlass fly off and nearly kill a person on a bank. I've also seen one start spinning so wildly it nearly took off the person's arm and leg. With a windlass, you have to pay attention, the strange kid told Parker. The three kids watched the boat rise. Maddie, still at the tiller, got bigger and bigger. Once the lock was full, the three kids opened the top gates. Parker and the strange kid pushing with their bums side by side. Maddie steered the boat out of the lock. They then closed the top gates and the paddles. Parker and Nico thanked the kid for his help, but he shrugged them off. "I told you not to go up the canal. I warned you about the ladies of Llangollen. There will be nothing but trouble there." "What trouble? What do you mean?" Parker asked. "You'll find out soon enough. That is, if you make it that far," the kid said just before he disappeared. Parker, Nico, and Maddie didn't have much time to figure the strange kid out before the canal boat just took off into the air. Maddie looked over the edge of the boat and saw nothing but air. Parker pointed down below to the water, which was very, very far away. "That's the River Dee," Nico said. "We're on the Punkersulti Aqueduct. It's made of stone and cast iron and was built in 1805. It was designed by Thomas Telford, the father of civil engineering. We're in a UNESCO World Heritage Site. That water is 35 meters straight down, but we've got nothing to worry about. We're in a 3.7 meter wide trough of cast iron. You just can't see the trough because the gunwale, the edge of the boat, extends over it. So it only looks like we're in the air. The trough is the original one. So you see, there's nothing to worry about. I mean, if it's lasted since 1805, how long is this aqueduct?" Maddie asked. 307 meters, Nico answered. Maddie turned a deathly pale, and then she turned green. 307 meters is nothing. That's less than the height of the Eiffel Tower. You could walk it in a bit over 5 minutes. I keep telling you, there's nothing to worry about. This aqueduct is really well built. The mortar holding it all together is made of lime, water, and ox blood. Nico found that people were best reassured with facts. Parker, on the other hand, preferred action. "Don't look down. Look to your right toward the towpath." Then the scariest thing happened. Scarier than the bridge, the tunnel, the locks, and even the strange scrawny kid. Maddie started to cry. Parker didn't think anything could make Maddie cry. She was always in charge of them, sometimes even too much the boss of them. Nico started researching furiously. He had to find the answer to this, and quickly, before it got worse. After all, Maddie was the one at the tiller. Eureka! It's acrophobia, Nico shouted. It's no biggie. It just means a fear of heights. Lots of people have phobias. Some people are afraid of clowns, if you can believe that. Even Prince Harry has written about his phobias. Phobias are not just for scaredy cats. Some miners have claustrophobia, which means they're afraid of closed spaces. Because of that, those miners work only in the big open pit mines on the surface. They never go underground. So you're in good company, nothing to worry about. But Maddie's face just got greener, and she grasped the tiller ever so tightly, and her hand turned white. Luckily, Parker came to the rescue. Maddie, let Nico and me take turns at the tiller. Thanks to your idea to have us compete through the tunnels, we both know how to steer. You walk the towpath where you don't have to look down. Just keep walking straight ahead next to the boat, and we'll be off this aqueduct in no time. An embarrassed but grateful Maddie stepped out of the boat and started on down the walkway. As Maddie appeared more and more relaxed, so did Nico and Parker. Nico knew that Maddie had really recovered when she yelled across to them, "If Thomas Telford is the father of civil engineering, who is the mother?" Nico did some quick research. Emily Warren Rubling was the engineer in charge of construction of the Brooklyn Bridge, the first suspension bridge to use steel cable. Shakuntala Bhagat of Mumbai was India's first woman engineer. She was a pioneer in designing prefabricated steel structures that could be later assembled into bridges at remote or busy urban sites. She also invented ways to make bridges stronger and safer. Maddie smiled for the first time since they had started to cross the aqueduct. And all three kids were thinking that the rest of their canal trip would be a piece of cake after this latest ordeal, no matter what those ladies in Clondalkin were like. The three kids would be proven wrong by the challenges to come.
All right, the ladies in the beaver hats are yet to come. We have to wait another month or more. That's great, Kathleen. I love the way your characters are evolving and developing, and their uniqueness with each installation here. That was wonderful. All right, we're going to come back to Live at Char's here, and Rachel Rose has arrived. Hopefully, just recently. Do you need a little bit more time? We can put somebody else ahead of you if you'd like.
I can do it right now.
You can do it now? Awesome, okay. Yeah. Raven's going to come and be your support. Yes. All right. Getting a little bit too big to ride on Mom's back anymore. It's gone into the stroller now. So. There we go. There we go. Hello, Raven.
Hi, guys.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Hi, guys.
Hi. What are you going to share with us this month?
Well, today's my lucky day. I actually finished it.
Ah.
It's
Congratulations.
Yeah, it took years.
Well.
And it's only the first part because this is Heartstrings of a Maiden. So it's like all the stuff that I wrote when I was like 18 to 25 kind of thing. Wow. There's much more.
Beautiful. Wow.
I've added like a bunch of artwork into it as well. So it's like my art and my poetry in here.
Sweet.
So it's all from that time period. So it's a lot of the like tattoos that I never did, or just drawings that I was doing around the shop and around the house. But yeah, it's been a long time in the making. So So all this is kind of like dark and gloomy and like full of like love nonsense. Because I was like some heartbroken boy crazy girl apparently.
That's why we all took to poetry.
So I'm not really sure where to start. I just kind of, let's see. I said I was ready, but I'm not really ready. But that's okay.
Take your time.
Well, here's one, since I'm feeling kind of crazy about finally getting it done. This one's called Sweet Insanity. So some of these I've probably read before, but now they're actually in the book. So Sweet Insanity by Rachel Rochon, then. It is the first time your heart whispers in the darkness, lift me up and open my mind's eye. It is your day. It's your time, your moment in the spotlight. Expression is your only release. Ride the lightning of your soul. Creation, the atoms around you, swallow them whole. You are everything, all at the same time, fear pumping in my veins, but I'm the bad guy. Your mirror image, your only reflection, only truth. Yet you walk with me through the darkness, for your eyes are pure, untainted by hate. Clarity amongst the chaos, the sweet insanity of it all. Thanks. So here's a fun one. I wrote this one about rollerblading because I used to be the roller girl at this time. I skated everywhere. I didn't have a car. I lived in the GTA, so I had my skates, and I went to work like that. I worked like that. I played like that, and I went everywhere on my skates. So this one's called Zoomin'. Zoomin', skating through life on the dream. No one is who they seem. Watching the mushroom cloud shapes in the sky, wondering if it's nice when you die. Haunting are the nightmares, but they are the dream. Are they the dream, or is this? Lost in man's eternal abyss. How free are we really? Do we really know how it is? What is right? How to fight? Or is it only a game that we play? Paint your picture your own way. Stand up for who you are, and you will always go far. That one I did with a nice koi. Should we do one more, Raven? What do you think? Ooh, this one's got a raven, but it's probably all dark and gloomy too. Yeah, this one's called Chaos Rising. Oh, I wrote this one on September 11th. I'm not sure which September 11th that would be, but it could have been that one. Chaos Rising. Two-faced, backstabbing thieves, ruining my existence. I think not. You cannot keep me down. Not even in my darkest hour. Trust no one but yourself, because only you can bring the peace. One permanent picture at a time, rebuilding life. Everything will be fine. Watch my struggle to build a new temple. Chaos is rising like a phoenix. New life from its ashes. Bring the fire, see the passion. From the tears, bring me order from the chaos. Yeah, so one more?
One more, sure.
Sure, we got time for that? All right. Yeah. Well, this one's got a phoenix too. But I think we're on a bird kick today. Dreaming in ink. Wipe away the blood, window to your soul, black and gray, orange and red, rather be in pain than think I'm dead. Dreaming in ink, opportunity awaits. but will I make my own fate? Dreaming in ink, fade to blue, emotions flaring, evil snaring, dreaming in ink. Make your own way, like an open wound, healing. In some crazy daydream, I'm dreaming in ink. That's it. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing those with us, Rachel. And you know, and those are your juvenile poems, right? The young time in your life, but I can see the seeds of your personality in there so clearly, and I don't know if others could see it, but you know, the strength of your will and character that is there, that kind of rebellious spirit, the focus on the healing aspect of life, and then all the questions about, you know, at that age, of course, searching. So yeah,
Right?
that's a perfect little treasure to have for yourself when you want to look back at that time of your life. Eh? Yeah,
Thanks, man.
beautiful.
I'll have another one soon. I'm just doing the editing. Hopefully it doesn't take me 5 years to do that too.
Yeah, they'll go faster now. Raven's getting older.
Well, that's just it. Now I have time to sit down and edit some of this stuff, right?
Yeah,
So
cool.
thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thank you.
If I could interrupt for a second, dear, I have this wonderful memory of this little white socked foot that was coming from behind from the carrier.
Yeah.
And you used to see the foot used to move according to the rhythm of the words. And it was so wonderful.
Yeah. Awesome.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe how much the time has passed. Now the child's in a stroller.
Yeah. Yeah. Raven's favorite part was clapping at the end. You couldn't see her, Kathleen, but every time she was right in there. Yeah. All right, we're going to go back out to Zoomland now, and Atma Frans is up. And Atma, I meant to. Hi. I meant to mention last time the contest that you had won, and I forgot to do it, so I'm going to just get you to remind me about that, because I saw it on Facebook.
Yeah, it was. It's called the Kingfisher Prize, and it's a contest that was run by Pulp Literature, Vancouver-based magazine.
Beautiful.
And but the poem is not out yet. It's going to be in the winter issue, so I'll read it once they've published it, so they can have like first.
Awesome. Well,
exposure.
Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I look forward to what you're going to share with us tonight. Poetry or prose?
Well, tonight will be a bit different because I'm going to share prose, but it will be memoir. I usually don't write memoir, and this is an older piece. It was written several years ago, and it's about the kindness of strangers. I actually had a lot of, when I was thinking about it today, I actually have had a lot of kind strangers in my life, which is very nice. I also had a lot of darkness in my life, so there is some of that there's actually quite a bit of darkness in the piece too. So I felt very timely in this time of year where there's a lot of dark outside, a lot of dark night, and also a lot of light and warmth between people. So it's called The Night Had Claws. When I stepped outside, ragged from a night of restless sleep and fragmented dreams, Sheila is already up. She's smoking, her tanned legs stretched out, back resting against the cabana, eyes closed, face lifted towards the sun. Smoke trails out of her parted lips. She's still wearing the long shirt she slept in last night. We were near strangers until yesterday. Young backpackers, exchanging smiles and small talk whenever we passed each other on our way to our hostel's kitchen or washroom. This is the 80s. I graduated a few months ago and have been traveling since, first across Canada, next along the west coast of the United States, and then all over Mexico. It has been great. Until yesterday. How are you doing? Sheila asks. I'm okay. The sound of my voice surprises me. It's hoarse and quiet. She steps out her cigarette. I made you something. She gets up and hands me a plate with slices of mango, guava, orange, and banana, the fruit skinned, cut in equal sizes, and laid out like flower petals around a heart-shaped pistil of nuts. This is so nice, she smiles. See you in a bit, she says, and goes back inside. I sit on the wooden bench in front of my cabana, balancing the plate on my lap. The morning air is chilly. In the valley, the white and blue facade of the Santa Lucia church rises up above the tiled roofs of San Cristobal de las Casas. The hills are bathed in a golden light. A wisp of fog lingers in the folds between the mountains. The scenery feels distant and at the same time more intense. I'm alive. I repeat the words in my mind like a mantra. I'm alive. I pick up a slice of mango and nibble off a piece. The flavor explodes against my palate. When I swallow, it hurts. I have no mirror, and I wonder if there are bruises on my throat. My fingers search the swollen tenderness. My chest tightens. My heart races. I feel cornered, trapped by fear, shut off from the sunny morning. I take deep, slow breaths. The fog in my mind thins, and the world returns. After a while, Sheila appears in her doorway. She has changed into a tie-dye shirt and a pair of jeans. She leans against the frame. Thanks so much for last night, I say. When I came home, I had knocked on her door. Earlier that night, I had knocked on another door, the first house I came across after I escaped. A family of 3 lived there, a woman, a man, and a boy. The woman made me tea and they offered to drive me home, all 3 of them. Nobody wanted to stay behind. Walking to the car, the woman looked over her shoulder, scanning the black spaces between the trees along their driveway. The night had clouds now. Afterwards, alone in my cabana, the dark grew solid, entombing me. I'm glad you woke me. Sheila tucks a strand of her chestnut hair behind her ear. When you're done, we'll go into town. There's a place that has steam baths. I'm filthy and sore, and there's only cold water here, but it feels daunting to go into town. I feel skinned. Here above the world, there's a sense of safety. It's nice of you, I say, but I'd rather stay here. Come on, they have private rooms. We don't have to go into the public bath. You'll feel so much better. Okay, give me a minute. I grab my wallet and a bottle of water, and together we walk down the winding mountain road. As we arrive at the edge of town, the streets get busier. The world is too bright and too loud. Sun glares off the white houses, a car honks, the door clanks, shutters slam open, a woman shouts, a dog barks, birds chirp. When a man brushes against my arm, I shirk away and slide behind Sheila. I'm like a small child shadowing her mother. Sheila stops at the building. This is it. We walk in. At the counter. She talks to someone in rapid Spanish and obtains white towel, soap, and a key. When we undress in the dressing room, I catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror. A stranger stares back. Come, Sheila says. And we enter a small room covered floor to ceiling with white tiles. We sit down on the bench along the wall, and Sheila presses a button. Steam rushes in from openings along the floor. It rises up and around, enveloping us. Heat clings onto my skin and penetrates my pores. I imagine it sweating out the dirt. I've never felt this soil. A fog thickens in my legs, buttocks, belly, and my underarms disappear. A disembodied hand floats in front of my face. Without words, I take the white bar of soap it offers. I rub it over my body again and again. As our shapes re-emerge from the thinning steam, Sheila pushes the button, and once more we disappear. She repeats this ritual in silence until my hands and the soles of my feet are wrinkled. I don't want to leave this white, hard shell. I want to stay here forever, tucked away from the world, invisible. I sense Sheila getting up, and I don't want to be alone, so I follow her into the dressing room. We should go to the market, Sheila says, and buy you something beautiful, something that makes you feel precious. I feel anything but precious. I don't think it would work. But Sheila seems to know what I need right now better than I do. Even though I dread the crowds at the market, I decide to trust her. Walking through town is a bit more bearable this time. At the market, I follow Sheila as she passes by the stalls packed with tourists and locals buying tortillas, corn, fruit, blankets, white crocheted shirts, and wooden animals painted in bright colors. She leads me to the far end of the market where an indigenous woman is selling hand-woven shawls. I pick up several, tracing my finger over the fine wool. Finally, I choose a gray one, bordered with a strip of clear sky blue. It's simple, yet elegant. I drape it around my shoulders, a soft armor. After I pay, Sheila takes me to a small restaurant, and I order lunch and coffee for both of us. Sheila slowly spoons sugar in her cup. I get it, she says, that you didn't want to go to the police. It makes it worse, all their questions. I didn't think I could handle it, I say, even if I wanted to. I'm shattered. Sheila looks down at her coffee. It happened to me too, you know. I scratched his face, I had scars after. I thought I was over it, but last night it all came back. I'm so sorry. Don't be. It's been good to look after you. It has helped me too. I'm so grateful you took care of me. I smile at Sheila. Her kindness has glued my broken self back together. To those who know nothing, we must seem like two young women drinking coffee in the dimness of a restaurant, sheltered from the noise and blinding light, from the treacherous world outside. This is how we seem to me. I do not know yet that there's a trapdoor inside me, that it will open without warning, and each time I will free fall into the past, into terror, into powerlessness and pain. But not yet. For now, sanctuary.
Wow, that was powerful, powerful, powerful. Yeah.
Yeah.
The way you work by implication and contrast is beautiful. It's marvelous, and that piece is flawless. A lot of people, when they write memoir, they tend to get into more lengthy analysis of things. But I love memoir like that is more, it's dramatized, and it just tells the story and takes you with us. Oh, it was beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Powerful. All right, we're going to come back to live at Char's Landing now, and Dan Biggs is up next. Dan's going to share probably another chapter of his story with us, we're hoping. And for the benefit of all, the little preface always helps to bring people up to speed to where we are.
How's that?
That's good. And Char, just hang on a second, though. Char's going to move the camera up an inch there to get the top of your head, too. Yeah, there we are. Thought she could relax for a minute, but oh no. We've got her going. There, we'll just zoom in a little bit. There we go. You can see the whites of his eyes.
No, my head shines too much via too close. Yeah.
All right.
Okay, thanks, Derek. I'm just going to continue with some excerpts from my novel. So, just in a brief summary, it's set in the early 1920s, so 100 years ago, and it's about a young woman named Maggie who comes from a religious family, and she gets pregnant out of wedlock and is sent away to a remote mining village to marry one of her father's childhood acquaintances. The last couple of times I read parts about one of the characters, George Prescott, who is the only policeman in the village. And the last time I read, I had Prescott taking taking a bribe from Maggie's husband, Henry. Again, here she was, Ellen Marco, wife of Joseph Marco, Archie Akita's mining engineer, standing in Prescott's police station, her hands fisted on her hips, her bonnet wet from rain, refusing the seat offered and the tea cooling on the desk. "Margaret has a black eye," she said, raising her clawed hand to her eye. "It's the size of an apple. That son of a bitch has been beating her again." "Is he, Henry home?" Prescott offered after a lingering pause that only magnified her glare like sunlight through a convex lens. "No, he left early looking for trees to cut down for that wretched mill." "So you didn't see him hit her?" "I've heard plenty from that house, and you don't actually need to see something to know what's happening." Prescott stopped himself from shaking his head. His disarrayed thoughts tumbled forth. The money he took hidden away, the bruised face of a pretty girl, a prairie farm in flames. What have I hitched my cart to? "Have you talked to her?" he said. "She said she walked into an open door in the middle of the night." "She didn't tell you he hit her?" "Doors are square." Prescott sat back and caressed his mustache, his mind still in turmoil. He'd seen the farmhouse on the prairie sitting quiet until flames festered from the chimney. The young woman and the whole village he saw on the wharf that day, a rainy day, a torrent of rain that could stop flames. "She's pregnant, you know. You're looking for an excuse not to do anything, like last time. I know there are laws against husbands beating their wives. Husbands don't own wives. They can't treat them like dogs. I know you were a cop in the city and we're in the war. What are you afraid of?" Afraid? Prescott sat up. "There's such a thing as evidence, Ellen. I can't accuse, let alone charge someone without evidence. If she won't talk to you, what do you think she'll talk to me?" "Evidence? Who are you, Sherlock Holmes? You just need to see her. You just need to know what happened. Or just go stand outside the house one evening. That'll give you all the evidence you need." She said evidence while gesturing quotations with her fingers. "She still needs to talk to me and admit he's beating her. She's afraid, George, afraid of him, afraid he'll beat her more, hurt her baby. In the war, didn't you try to avoid bullets?" The whistling crack of bullets filled his ears. He saw himself fall, gunshot. "Does she know you are here?" he asked after another convex glares. "No, she didn't let me in at first. She talked to me through the door. She finally opened it a crack. It looks horrible." "She wanted you to see her face?" "I guess." "Can you take her to the doctor?" "She will refuse to go. She doesn't want anybody to know. She doesn't want to be seen. She's afraid of what will happen if he finds out. People know. People around here know Henry. People around here know Henry, and they gossip about what goes on in the house all the time. It'll come as no surprise. Tell her if she doesn't go, you'll report it to me. Lie to her." Prescott cupped his hand over his fist. "If it's as bad as you say, the doctor will send for me anyway. Right now, all I have is your word. Can you think of a better way to get her to the doctor?" "Why don't you just go up to her house? Henry will know as she's talked. It's better to see her at the hospital. The doctor should have a look at her anyway, make sure she only has a black eye." "You will have to confront that man to stop this." "I will. I'll confront him before he has a chance to put a story together. Don't talk to anybody about this." She closed the door softly this time. Even though it exposed her neck to the rain, Ellen walked up the boardwalk with her chin held high. Through his office window, Prescott watched her away, and his thoughts were full of the claims of a domestic assault, and full of the time years ago, before the war, before his marriage, when he was a young police officer. He was standing on his corner a few paces from the call box. Officer Eric Nilsson, his partner, who other officers called the Big Swede, was down the street standing on the next corner. An overnight rain had left a sheen of damp on the cobblestones. The morning rush had ended, and Prescott watched taxicabs line up across the street. The air filled with the clomps of horse hoofs, the faltered rattle of car engines, and the disassociated murmurs of the chatter of voices near and distant. The air was heavy with the odors of manure and exhaust and the whiffs of fresh bread. As a shopkeeper swept rainwater from the sidewalk, Prescott heard running feet on the wet street. He turned to see a boy of 10 who he knew as David run to his side. The high-pitched shouting, like the screech of iron wheels, startled Prescott. Sir, Captain, Mr. Prescott, I... Prescott bent over and tried to make eye contact, but between the blinks, the boy's eyes darted from side to side. "I told you to call me George. What's the matter?" "Dad's hitting her again. Dad's hitting me ma again." Prescott righted and waved to the big Swede. The two policemen with David and Toad hurried down a muddy street. People stopped what they were doing and moved aside. They reached the wooden apartment building and climbed the exterior staircase to the second floor. They knew the place well. In recent months, Prescott and the big Swede had been there many times, all for the same reason. They had given warning after warning and finally sent David's dad to spend a night in jail. He returned the next day to put David's ma in the hospital. Dad spent 30 days in the prison farm in Agassiz for that, while David stayed at the orphanage in St. Mary Street. David's dad was released only a week ago, and Prescott and the big Swede agreed that the judge was too soft. Dad should have been sent to the pen for at least 6 months. Wife beaters aren't treated well in prison, and he would have gotten some of his own medicine. The door was open. As Prescott and the big Swede entered, they saw David's dad lying face down, spread eagle on the living room floor with an 8-inch butcher knife protruding from his back. The apartment was a mess. Furniture was overturned, and shards of porcelain from smashed plates littered the floor. The big Swede knelt to feel for a pulse. "Where's your ma?" Prescott shouted at Dave. The boy stood frozen, big-eyed, mouth agape. Prescott found Ma unconscious and crying in the bedroom. They cuffed her hands and took her to the police station, where the Crown Attorney charged her with murder. "He was stabbed in the back. How can she say it was self-defense?" they were told. David went back to the orphanage on St. Mary Street. The judge said he was being lenient when he gave Ma 10 years. Later, while on a smoke break, the big Swede said that after the last time, they should have done what the pen didn't get the chance to do and give David's dad a good thrashing and let him know the next time it would be worse. Then maybe David would still have a mother and father. Prescott wanted to respond but said nothing. Maybe, he thought, Dad would have moved the family or found another way to continue the abuse. They weren't judges after all. They didn't deliver justice. The rain grew lighter as Prescott watched the shopkeeper and a Japanese man carry baskets of goods up the boardwalk. Ever since taking Henry's bribe, he had regretted it. Not his first nor his biggest regret, but a regret nonetheless. He was done with police work and wanted to go back to a place of his youth. The prairies, buy a farm, raise crops and animals, make a new start. After all, he was still young, and the money, Henry's money, would make that possible. He asked himself, why did he take the money? He wasn't in the city surrounded by other corrupt policemen. He was the only one here. He was weak, that's why, weak, and just wanted to take the path of least resistance. That's why he did it, and that and the longing for home and a farm on the prairies. Now in this place he could not see the road that would lead him to the rest of his life. Only a few days ago, to shake him from his comfortable, frictionless path, he received a telegram from headquarters in Victoria that informed him help was on the way. Another constable would be stationed in Jedway. Please ensure the necessary arrangements. The new officer is fresh from training and needs guidance. Will this new officer become corrupt, like he is now, like he was when he and the big Swede, not long after Dave's ma was sent away, found the dead prostitute in an alley covered in garbage? Her face was gray and doll-like. Prescott tried to push her eyelids closed. They were stiff and wouldn't move. It took him at least a year to get that image out of his head, and even now, years later, the smell of garbage always pulls the gray doll face back into his mind. While Prescott and the big Swede stood over the dead prostitute, they were confronted by the gangster, Li Chuang, who convinced them it wasn't worth the effort to investigate. Quan paid Prescott and the big Swede to bury her in a construction site. He didn't know this young man who was on his way, but a future of corruption he didn't wish on anybody. He needed to solve this problem with Henry, nullify things, get control, shed his weakness, make things look clean, put them back under the rug, and smooth the rug before the new constable arrived. As Ellen had said, Maggie looked horrible, and Prescott could see she was hit with a fist more than once. The Japanese doctor was there washing his hands in the iron sink. The young Japanese man who spoke English for the doctor stood beside Maggie, who sat up on the examination table. Ellen stood against the wall across from Maggie. As Prescott entered, Maggie shouted, "You said you wouldn't report it." Prescott spoke up. "I knew about it before she talked to me." Most people know about it, Margaret. No, what about? It happened in the middle of the night when I was going out to the outhouse. How do you explain your face? Prescott said. I just explained it. It's not what you think, not what any of you think. It's like that. If you didn't say what I said, he wouldn't have gotten angry. That's when he hit you? Prescott asked. Maggie shook her head, and Prescott asked Alan, the doctor, and the young man to give us a moment. Once the room was clear, he said, I can make him stop, but I need you to tell me the truth first. He has a lot on his mind, you know, with the sawmill and all the workers. Has he said anything? Did he tell you he was sorry? Express any remorse? Was he drinking again? He drinks most nights. Later, when he sobered up, I think he felt sorry. What did you say to him to make him angry? I don't remember at all. Something about him drinking, something about him being too drunk to enjoy the dinner I cooked. How many times did he hit you? Can you send him away off the island? She looked up and made eye contact. Or send me away? Prescott knew he couldn't. His relationship with Henry was complicated. No, I can't promise that. Then no, he didn't hit me. He never hit me. I fell into an open door last night on my way to the outhouse. Prescott saw Henry and the big Chinese man named Wong, who seemed always to be with his side walking along the wharf. He called Henry up into his office. You will want Mr. Wong to wait outside, he said. Henry looked over his shoulder at the big Chinese man, who smiled back. He's okay to hear what you have to say to me. It's about your wife, Prescott said. Wait outside, Charlie, Henry said. Once the door closed, folds of skins grew on Henry's forehead and his eyes and nostrils. He stepped forward. What about her? It's been noticed how you treat her. Treat her? How? With your fists. It's not a police matter, it's a private matter, behind closed doors. Who told you this? I'll decide what's a police matter. You hit her good and hard. She had to go to the doctor this morning. That slopehead told you. It's your neighbor. Don't blame the doctor, he's only doing his job. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself. Most people knows what go on in your house. They need to mind their business. And we have an arrangement. Or are you making a play to get more? Try to find an angle on me. There's no angle. Battery is battery. The arrangement we have is about the shipment. It doesn't give you permission to beat your wife. You still have to follow the law. Since you came here, I sent off some letters to ask about you from some of your old friends down south. And they know why you're here, why a man with your time in, a war veteran and all, has been put on this rock in the middle of the ocean. And you're hardly someone who can tell me about the law. What are you going to do? Have Mr. Wong cut my throat and throw me in the chuck? There would be more policemen here than you knew what to do with, more than you could pay off. And since you brought it up, I received word that another constable is on his way here. He should be here in about a month. So now I'm going to have to pay two of you assholes off? It won't come to that. Our arrangement is only between us. Henry sat down and removed his hat. Prescott couldn't take his eyes off the birthmark. We need to come to an arrangement, Prescott said. Or an understanding. Understanding? Criminals don't stay criminals once people know they're criminals. You are attracting attention. Our arrangement requires the absence of attention. And you putting your wife in the hospital is a lot of attention neither one of us need. It needs to stop, or you'll force my hand. Henry sat up fast. I pay you more money than you make in a month, and you're telling me what to do? Who works for who? I should be hearing gratitude, not orders. Henry called out, Charlie, get in here. Mr. Wong entered instead behind Henry. I give the orders, Henry said. The next day, Prescott wiped the crust of sleep from his eyes. He stood in his long johns looking in the mirror and thanked his mustache for covering his cut lip. He was combing dried blood from his mustache when he heard a knock on the door. What is it? He shouted as he pulled on his jacket. He opened the door to see Douglas Black. Prescott saw the anguish in Black's face. He was rubbing the back of his neck, and Prescott could see the cords in his neck. Past him, he saw the freighter pulling into a wharf. It's not due for another week, Prescott said. It's not the boat, Black said. There's a body under the wharf. Prescott pulled on his trousers and followed Black down the wharf. Why are you limping? Black asked after seeing Prescott hobbling down the wharf. Oh, it's just an old piece of shrapnel from the war. The dampness makes it flare up once in a while. Below the wharf, tied to a piling, 2 men in a skiff, one using a pike pole to pull a face-down body towards the skiff. They pulled the body out of the water, and the man using the pole called up to Prescott and Black. It's that big Chinese fella. Charlie Wong, the other shouted. His throat's cut. He's deader than Christ.
Definitely your most dramatic chapter yet, Dan. That was a gripper. Okay. All right, we're going back out to Zoomland now, and David Kippling is up. Oh, and Peter Paul Van Camp has joined us. Good evening, Peter Paul.
If I swear, can you hear me? Can you hear my voice? I'm further away from the microphone, but can you hear me?
As long as you keep that volume up, I think we'll be okay here, David. Yeah.
I wanted to throw in just a kind of a thank you to Jennifer, because this question of Heliogabalus saying, wonderful phrase, wanting to turn the world right way up, you know, and to say, I'm a woman, I will be the empress. And it made me think of the, you know, turning the world upside down is the phrase, you know, we always think it's an exaggerated phrase, but it's not. It's turning the world right way up. And I remembered that when Oliver Cromwell had a revolution and chopped the king's head off and said, everyone will vote, they said, he's mad, he's turning the world upside down. But then the Levelers said, no, women should preach in church and even servants and labourers should vote. And Cromwell said, these are madmen. They are trying to turn the world upside down. And Heliogabalus was saying, let's turn it right way up. So, I mean, in fact, today we're closer to right way up. Anyway, that's my, if Jennifer's listening, I thank you for that wonderful story.
You're welcome, David.
This is a kind of a day at work. I'm not sure what it is. I'm not sure what the story is. This is a day at work, anyway. So the gravel beside the rail lines hurt Hakim's knees, and he got cautiously up and tossed the wrench back into his tool bag. He touched the red bandana and adjusted it gently over yesterday's sunburn. The ground at his feet crackled with heat, and he checked the dry weeds for the viper he had kicked away an hour ago. The snakes often slept in the concrete conduits where Hakim and the crew were laying signal cables along the railway. He disliked snakes. They brought bad luck. Stuff would go wrong if they looked at you. Perhaps he should have killed that one. Perhaps that hawk up there would catch it. He looked both ways along the rail lines. Today, Sunday, the boss was shepherding government inspectors along a completed stretch of track 20 kilometres away. Hakim hoped they might spot the little splash of blood high up inside the concrete wall and think about the work behind it. Hakim had let that goddamn power drill snag its bit in the wall and whip back onto his mouth. That had been a rare occasion when Le Massaier, their hated lead hand, had actually behaved like a human, running with a first aid kit. Miguel the Spaniard had seen the government inspectors when he drove past that stretch of line, bringing new junction boxes. Civil servants, they come out on Sundays to do their inspections, so they can climb double overtime and a lunch too. I've seen them, I've never seen one sweat. They were all at mass this morning in their suits, you can bet, with wives and kids and a nice Mercedes. Miguel leaned on his pickaxe for a moment to wipe the sweat from his belly and swung the pick deep again into the dry ditch bottom. Hakim started unrolling cable from its tall wooden spool to measure, cut and splice into each successive signal along the railroad. Despite the heat, Hakim stayed alert. Alertness was vital if you were an Algerian in the casual labour pool, where men could be fired mid-morning for slow work or a furtive cigarette, or for not getting out of the boss's way fast enough. Bloody Arabs. As it happened, it was the Belgian who disappeared, and without even being fired during the night. Run off, dragging his poor wife and baby. Must have hitchhiked away on the A7, abandoning their tiny rented trailer home and its overdue rent. The Belgian had deserted from the army and wouldn't dare head back home. Heavy drinker too. Sure, everyone liked to drink, but you can't fuck around drunk on the railroad, though he had. Hakeem's eyes registered a dark shape rocking minutely against the horizon, even before the steel rails began to hum to themselves. "Un train qui roule," he called to the crew, and reached to hit the trigger of their big compressed air cylinder. It blared, sudden, raising birds 2 kilometers away in the woods around the old chateau to warn all of an express on the rails. Men stepped.
David, we lost your picture there. I don't know what happened.
Oh,
You're-
sorry.
I cannot. It's disabled by the host. You know what? I used a bad word.
You know, stable by the host.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
You know what?
The host has turned off our video.
All right.
It's possible that Zoom does that.
Char's working on it here.
I think Char's not the host. I think Zoom is the host.
It's because you were speaking bad of Belgians at Zoom.
There we are. You're back. All right.
Oh,
Okay.
But you heard the words anyway.
Go back a couple of lines there,
that's
David.
Belgian, she said.
Oh, yes, the Belgian. I'm sorry, I can't help. That's who he was. The men stepped carefully away from the packed gravel of the rail line, the rocks and holes that could twist an ankle and lose them a week's pay. The express was out of Marseille in the east, storming west across the dry vineyards and salt marshes bordering the Mediterranean. As the express approached, Francois the foreman swore a warning and turned his back on the rushing train. From behind the wheels of one of the carriages, a white cloud of wet spray fluttered in the hurricane. "Toilet, toilet," Francois shouted as the carriages flew past, then grinned. Maybe it was just a wash basin. Miguel the Spaniard waved a big fist after the disappearing train. "Lourdes, did you see that? They're off to Lourdes. Pilgrims to Lourdes." Hakeem had glimpsed the sisters' uniforms, the religious symbols on the carriage doors, the figures leaning on crutches at the windows. Miguel wound up again, tricked into paying money they can't afford. The priests badger them. Waste a week at Lourdes and the priests get fat. "Miguel, you'll have a heart attack," cautioned Hakeem. Miguel shrugged. "This is my trade. It won't kill me. I've dug ditches since I was 14. Miguel, who had left Spain as a child when his parents fled Franco, spat on an insect. "I thought I'd do better in France, modern country, but I'm 40 this year, and all I have," he grimaced, "is piles." Then he raised his pickaxe and bellowed, "And my soccer team, Barcelona, Barca, Candel Barca." Francois looked at his watch. "We're nearly done." Francois was from the north, from the mines up in Alsace, a lean, flinty man. He had recently given the Belgian a chilly warning stare when Lafrite had scowled at some imperfect soldering and grunted, "Can't we just leave it like this? No one will notice." Hakeem was struggling with an obstinate screw in a box cover. He scraped paint from the screw head, pressed the screwdriver hard, straining and slipping, until "It won't unscrew, Francois." Francois grinned. This was his favorite kind of fight. "Of course it'll unscrew, Hakeem. It's in your mind, not in a metal. Give me the screwdriver. Watch and listen." Francois jammed the blade in and muttered, "Tu tourne, vache," and the screw turned. Francois winked. "Remember, Hakeem, you have to say tu, even if you don't swear." "Enough for today, you guys. Hakeem, collect that last cable and we're done." Francois pointed to their van and added, "We've got time for a quick beer." He winked sideways at Hakeem, "Or a soda at Monique's before we have to clock out back at the station." Silence fell again on the hot and harsh. Nearby, vineyard labourers were moving quietly in their narrow green lanes. High above hung the hawk, alert, sharp against the blue, it too scrutinising the emptiness of the exposed rail lines, waiting. As their van drew away towards the main road, the hawk twitched its wings and slid silently west, and the snakes and grasshoppers came out to reclaim their dry kingdom. End of the day's work.
Fabulous, David. Thank you. And great characters as always, and dialogue so real, everything. Yes, beautiful. Thank you.
So, Char, did you really cut me because of a bad word?
No, it was because of the Belgians.
I mean, Atma knows that. Well, you know, I mean, in France, the Belgians they're always called La Frite because of, as we all know, the world knows, a certain fondness for what are called French fries.
Yeah.
Oh, terrible stereotype.
If Char was going to if Char was going to censor us for bad language, David, I don't think I would have been let in the door a long time ago. All right. Okay, we're staying out in Zoomland, and Peter Paul Van Camp is going to share some of his wild and wicked poetry with us, I'm sure. Where are you, Peter? There, I see you up in the corner. Char's wrestling you down onto the screen. You're moving closer. She's struggling. Okay. Should we? Isn't
it someone here right now?
No. Karen is on Zoom as well. There she is. Okay. You got Karen all right. Should we let Karen go now then and bring Peter after?
Well, I've got the stages ready. I'm struggling to... Is there someone on the stage now?
Peter was supposed to be next there, but should we go with Karen because we've got her up? All right, if you're all right with that, Peter, can you wait one more? Thank you for your patience. All right, Karen, we've got you spotlighted here. How are you this evening?
I'm good, thanks.
Good. And how's everything up island?
Wonderful.
You survived the rain and the wind and...
Actually, I hate to say it, but it's been sunny here all day.
Oh, well, actually, we didn't have a bad day today either, but Monday was a different story. Oh, now we've got Peter up there. Okay, anyway, Karen, we'll go ahead with you, and Peter will be on deck there.
Okay, well, I'm going to read an excerpt from Across the Prairie Sky. It's a story about a young girl and her horse, and their family life in the 30s on a farm on the prairies. When they all sat down to eat, their normal, happy dinner chatter evaporated into the silent air. William and Ellen were lost in their own thoughts, and Daisy just looked at Ellen, then William, Mom, and Dad. Finally, Mom broke the silence. You know, I'm certain how many jars of cream I put down the well. There were 3 jars yesterday and 3 jars the day before. I would swear to that. Out of all of that, there were only 2 jars of cream when I looked this morning. I have 3 more jars to put down there, but I'm afraid something or someone is stealing our cream. Last week, some cream was missing too. I'm sure of it. I don't think I should put the cream out there this evening. After a thoughtful pause, Dad said, "Yeah, you know, I think you should put the cream down in the well, same as usual. But Billy, what if it's gone in the morning? Just put it down there. We'll see what happens tonight. In fact, I'll take it out myself. And William, I think after dinner that you and I should have a good look around the well. You never know what might be going on." Dinner was finished and the dishes washed and put away. The newly scrubbed kitchen was not looking any worse for the disarray of Daisy's cooking. It was shining and clean, ready to greet the family for their next meal. Later that evening, Mom sat down in the rocking chair in the parlor with Tommy. He was hungry again, and it was a peaceful time away from the stormy thoughts in her mind. Mom glanced at the letter that Dad had placed on the end table. And she thought, oh, I almost forgot. I'll have a look at that when Tommy goes to sleep. Right now, I'm just too tired to think of anything. A curtain of darkness descended, and the warm summer sun said its brilliant farewell to the day with a summons for the family to rest. Daisy, are you in bed? Said Mom. Daisy didn't answer, but Ellen poked her head into the doorway of the parlor and said, she's already in bed sleeping, and I'm on my way up. I think William might have gone to bed too, but I'm not sure. All right, Ellen, I'll see you in the morning. Carrying a book under her arm, Ellen climbed the stairs to her and Daisy's bedroom. After reading the same page for 15 minutes, Ellen gave up and turned down the humming lamp. She drifted off to sleep, curled up next to her sister in their cozy bed. Downstairs in the parlor, Mum's eyes grew heavy, and her breathing flowed longer and deeper. She was sleeping upright with her head nodding, but still with a firm grip on her child. Tommy was still nursing sporadically between long breaths and fluttering eyelids. Finally, he gave way and with a sigh slipped into dreamy, serene slumbering. It seemed that the whole farmhouse drifted into quiet and peaceful repose. They'd been sleeping for about an hour when a loud bang that shook the nails in the walls and rattled the windows awakened everyone from their sleep. Mum started in her surprise. For a moment, she couldn't remember where she was in the darkened parlor, confused for a moment until the blind, foggy dozing was replaced by clear consciousness. Tommy stirred in her arms just as another bang boomed like a thunderbolt, jarring the air and shaking Mom. She nearly knocked over the side table that was beside her. With her free hand, she felt for the coal oil lamp and turned it up so that she could see better. Mum didn't notice that in the confusion she had knocked the letter off the side table onto the floor and under the sofa. Mom, what was that terrible noise? Said Ellen from the top of the staircase. Daisy was peeking around from behind her. William's not in his room, said Ellen. Is someone shooting? That sounded like a gun going off. It sure did. I don't know where your dad is either, said Mum. And carrying Tommy, she entered the dark hallway. Don't go outside, Mum. Not until we know what's going on. Mum hesitated. She was sure she could hear male voices shouting. The girls followed their mum down the hallway and into the kitchen. Oh, no, please don't go out there, Mom, wailed Daisy. Another bang rang out further away from the house, and after the noise, yelling voices were heard retreating away from the farmhouse. Frozen, they huddled near the kitchen door, waiting for the next report, but not wanting to go outside to see what was happening. The kitchen door suddenly swung open with a force that made them jump. Ellen held her breath and stared at Dad and William standing in the doorway. Dad was carrying a shotgun in one hand and a lantern in the other. He was dressed in dark clothes with a dark hat pulled down to the top of his vengeful eyes. A quiet snicker graced his face when he and William entered the kitchen. I got him, Dad said. We sure did, said William. Got who? Who did you get? Questioned Mom as she put Tommy down on the bed in the spare bedroom off of the kitchen. Billy, you didn't shoot anyone, did you? You bet we did, chuckled William. We got that blood-sucking thief, said Dad. He won't be back, not for a long time. It'll take some time to dig the buckshot out of his butt. Was he the one that was stealing our cream? Sure was. He didn't get any tonight, though. We waited, hiding in the dark, just beside the barn, and sure enough, he showed up, that dirty weasel of a thief. How did you see him? I set up a wire over the top of the well. It had a bell on it, so we waited, and when the bell started to ring, I knew someone was there. Who was it? Did you get a look at him? It was hard to tell in the dark, so I can't be sure. He's got a fat belly and a crooked walk that slowed him down a bit when he was running away. Other than that, I didn't see his face, but he had long hair sticking out of his hat. He'll have a sore rear, though. We'll just watch for someone that can't sit down for a very long time. Was he riding a horse? I think his horse was waiting for him down the road a ways. Mom sat down on the kitchen chair and leaned her head on one hand. Once she recovered from the evening's startling event, she relaxed into a soft giggle that rose to a crescendo of laughter. The amusement spread throughout the kitchen until tears stung their eyes, and their cheeks grew rosy with their own heat. Tommy joined in with a cry from Mum, who promptly got up and went to pick him up. Eventually, the whole family was settled back down into restful sleep, and the cream that was in the well was left safely intact.
Yes, well, that was very entertaining as always, Karen. Thank you so much. And a surprise at the end as well. Awesome. Okay, well, Peter, we are now going to get you front center with Char's magic. There we have.
There I am.
Yes, we have you. We have you. We have you. How are you this evening, Peter?
I'm quite well. Thank you for asking, and thanks everyone for staying up. It's been a long day. Anyway, that has nothing to do with what I'm going to do. Let's start off with a little bit of a tune, shall we? This is called The Lincoln Letter. The Lincoln Letter. There once was a poor young girl who left her country home and came to the city to seek employment. She had to leave her home because the wolf was at the door, and her father had fallen down and hurt his knee. Just before she went away, her sweetheart, whose name was Jack, said to her, "I fear you will not be true." And so he made her promise him before she got on the train that every night at 8 o'clock she would burst into tears. She came to the city and was riding on a streetcar when a man got up and offered her his seat. She refused the offer with scorn, for she saw that he wore a ring, and she didn't know but that he might be a married man. Then up came the conductor and cried, "I knew you would be true." And he tore off his false whiskers, and it was Jack. And that day she got a telegram saying that her father's knee was better. And the letter he had forged and signed Abraham Lincoln had sold at auction for $58,000. I can't take credit for that. That was written by Charlie Case, and it goes back to at least 1910. He was a big number on the vaudeville stage, Charlie Case. Well, now, this poem I'm going to read to you, I've been working on this for a year or so. Then it completed itself when I got word that a dear friend of mine from back in Montreal had passed away. And suddenly, I knew what this poem was meant to be about. And so the last line inserted itself where it needed to be. And, well, this is dedicated to my old buddy, Campbell Henry, and it's called, "Is This Any Way to Treat a Dreamer?" This midnight air is unseaworthy. That moon looks like a stranger here. Our engine's chug is not convincing. Is that my satchel on the pier? These are not my dentures either. I shall not despair. Still, I can't recall embarking on this night boat to Tangier. That's all I had to say about it. It was just about the feeling you get when the world is no longer as you knew it. Some important element has been removed, and you have to make adjustments. So everything seems a little peculiar. And I'm going to leave you this evening with I hope a hopeful piece. Actually, this is from the On a Bicycle series. This is number 66, and I wrote this a couple of years ago, as you know, when I was 70. It's all about, this one has to do with leaving towns where you've come and made your mark, and then you go to another town and you make your mark there, and you leave that town, and that's what we do all our lives, really. And so Peter Paul Van Camp on a bicycle at 70, number 66. You may go to a place that is all new to you, as it was in the past to the hundreds, just like you, who made it their own. But yours won't be the same place those hundreds have known. It's been changing. They've changed it. You're changing it too. You'll see what I mean. It'll happen to you. It will happen to you, and I hope that it does, because that's what shapes memories. Your time in the sun, the times you got soaked and the times that you froze, the times you dwell on, the times just as well gone. If you made your mark here and then left as you had to, you could wish it would stay as it was when you knew it, so that when you came back, you could stop and point to it. It can't, though. How could it? Your place has been taken by hundreds more like you who've come in their time. And all you can do is be glad you were here while you were, when you knew you were coming alive. That time will stay with you. The rest goes away. Say, I believe that's your bicycle. Where to today? All right. Thank you very much. And Merry Christmas to you all. Happy Hanukkah and a blessed New Year. Oh, it's got to be better than this one. So thank you so much.
And to you, Peter, thank you. And that last poem was a perfect one to, bring to the end of 2025 and read, I think. Yes, it's all so temporary, fleeting, and changeable, and we have our little moments here and there, and that's it. So well done, my friend.
Thank you.
Have a good holiday.
You too.
Okay. All right, we've got Robbie Van has been waiting patiently. Thank you, Robbie. Actually, we should have popped you up there when we couldn't get Peter quite in the middle of the screen, but that's okay. Hindsight is, yes, you know.
Not to worry.
Yeah.
Not to worry.
Will it be verse? Will it be song? Will it be prose? Will it be all of the above?
One never knows. One never knows. I was reading today, well, actually for the last few days, that when you take blood from somebody, and there's 3 different ways you can see this. I mean, if you put blood with live blood cells in a Faraday cage and leave it for an hour, it comes out and all the red blood cells are dead because there's no stimulation in a Faraday cage. If you put red blood cells in front of music from speakers, the red blood cells will decrease in a certain amount of number. But when you put blood cells with a healer, somebody that sings in the right intonations, the red blood cells actually increase to a multitude that scientists could not believe. So within all of this is that we are made of vibration. And when vibration comes along that can heal you and fix you properly, it gets right into the root of who we are. So I look at all of life around me and I see how even stars sing. So within all of that, I come to this. Enchantress of the forest realm, conjures land and seas, the storms, the gales, the winds that roar, whipping up the trees, the mighty rivers rushing by, so full of life alive. In this wonder I will play, it's love that makes me thrive. She sings to me of mighty mountains dressed in snowy cloth, of eagles flying overhead, being kept aloft. The crowning glory in autumn sun, her colors on display. The enchantress sings out, "Here is love," and showing me the way. The earth has reawakened, coming out of sleep. Budding shoots are rising, looking out to peak. I hear the birds all singing, carried on the breeze. The enchantress looks upon her land, feeling rather pleased. The immensities of forest as waves of rolling seas, the bounty of the harvest providing for our needs. Feel the pulse of freedom on this crystal bed we bring. The wonder, if you listen, you can hear her magic sing. This morning I was having a little bit of a joint on my patio, as I usually do every morning, and I thought, what a beautiful day. It's a lovely jointing trip, my dears, and a morning coffee too. A winter's glory soaring high with clouds and birds and you. As I smile with sweet contentment, with a thank you on my lips, love has led me down this path to a paradise like this. Yes, the sun is shining after lightning, storms and rain, and the earth that seems in rebirth as it comes alive again. The joy of all creation is waiting at your doors. Open up Mother Nature's gifts, find paradise and more. Nothing lasts forever. As the fuel of all our life, but all the pain and suffering has ended with our sight. And in the finding of this moment, I surge into the light. Mother Nature's loving gift has opened second sight. Imagination mushrooms, evolution on a spore. The wealth of all that's hidden knowledge opens inner doors, and the life of ever after are shifting through the veil, pointing as being human, our weaves will tell the tale. I watch the changing patterns and see the scars of man, the wars for spoiled billionaires, the hating American. There's something in the water that's turned their brains to mush, for fear is but a weapon until love has lost too much. Don't pay the ferryman. Osiris now is waiting. Gods of the underland, in a world of hate, debating. Sell your soul to the devil. I will not be yours. I'll walk the path of life, for the Creator gives me more. Well, I'm just a walking fungus in a world of make-believe. A magic potion changes all my thoughts and all my deeds. And that notion that comes floating opens me to find you feed your body, you feed your soul when you feed your mind. So flower child, come find me from the scars of mortal men. Shed your father's coat of lies, come find life again. Unburden their projections. Your life has opened worlds. Your dreams of passion was Christ's journey as we die and rise again. My first coming out type of poem, I guess, was after I went to Victoria. I was 57 when I came out, and I went to Victoria to my first Pride Parade. And it was quite magical, actually. I get there and all the people are starting coming by, and the transgender people were in the lead, and I thought, oh, isn't that wonderful? That's my crew. That's my posse out there. So when I came home, I had a download, and when I get a download is when the Spirit comes along and pours this music or this poetry into your head. So I wrote this. I once lived in a world between, where the world was blue while I was green, and the names they called were cruel and mean. So I lived inside where it wasn't seen. But the world had changed in the blink of an eye. When hate fades away, that's where love resides. Though we may not agree, we stand side by side. So let's have a big parade. Well, the puffs and the fags and the queers are all gay. Those funny bits, those naughty bits, hanging wherever they may. The lesbos are dancing to a tune from a flute. As everyone's laughing, we're having a hoot. The neighbors are waving, their cheers join in too. Even the sky is a happy, happy blue. And as the trannies and fairies prance by the crowd, love is our anthem and our banner held proud. I once lived in a world between, where the world was blue and I was green, and the names they yelled were cruel and mean. So I lived inside where I wasn't seen. My, how the world has changed. And I'll do one more. This is called Creation's Child. Her world was just a fairy tale, a woman with her needs, while ogres with their angry eyes and nails that clicked with greed. The Queen of Hearts was all of haste, the minstrel played a tune. The spell was cast on that fateful night, under the silvered moon. She dreamed of castles, crystal castles tall, sentries at the door. She held her plate out. Excuse me, sirs, might I have some more? They hunted her through her trailer walls. She swept them all away, for the world had changed as the light broke through, and love came to save the day. Young and old, creation's child, to see the great beyond. The world at large just fades away. Love is my sacred bond. She fell into the Spirit's straw. There she bends her knee. For such am I, a wizened sage, or the artist stirs in me. There are moments when I see the real, but stay beyond its reach. I was born in far away beyond, then life it came to teach. I am human, weak and strong. I went searching for good news. The piper came to lead me on by playing me the blues. Now she sings of hope and fantasies. She keeps the bad away. As angels came to hear her sing, it's her heart's display. Creation is this world we are, bend with the rule of time, a reign of love to rule thy world, so that thy spirit now can shine. That's it. I just want to tell everybody out there and in here, have a wonderful season. It's 2026 next year? What the hell happened? It just flew by. I'm 75 next year, 3/4 of a century. First off, I can't believe I made it this far. But secondly, I've had a hell of a life, a wonderful life with a lot of beautiful people in this world. And a lot of them live right here in Port Alberni. And I'm so blessed to live in Canada when transgender people are respected. So thank you very much for all of you for hanging in there and being our allies and friends. Have a good season.
Thank you, Robbie. Thank you for the poems, and thank you for that season's greeting as well. And let's hope that there are many, many more downloads to come in 2026. I don't know about you, but I feel like Y2K just happened yesterday, so I don't know. It's just... Anyway, correct me if I'm wrong, Karl. I think that's it. That's all. So I'm just going to go up and finish off here. I brought a little poem to share. You bet. Yes, yes. For those in-house here, we're going to hang out and have a little after party, so please don't run away. We brought snacks. That's going to be good. Sheila baked some butter tarts and cake, and yeah, so please hang around and enjoy a bit of vino and a socialization. It'd be great. I wrote, I've got another Floyd and Mary story going, but I'm not done it, so I'm going to wait and I'll share that in full, hopefully next time. So I just wrote a little poem instead. It's a little bit of a Christmas mashup, so hope you enjoy it. I'll dedicate it to Karl. 'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through Alberni, not a creature was stirring, not even the mermaid. The stockings at Char's were strung by the bar, with hopes that some riders might come from afar. The chairs and the tables were strategically placed, with hopes that with good words they soon would be graced. And Char in her tech world and Sheila with her booze had just settled their noggins for a brief winter snooze. The hostelers were nestled all snug in their bunks, dreaming of hot babes or big handsome hunks. When out on the patio there arose such a thumping, they sprang from their nap to see what was bumping. Away to the foyer they dashed across the floor, reefed on the handle and threw open the door. The rain drummed as always on old Argyle Street, and the wind from the harbor was smelling like sleet. When what to their sleep-drowsy eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 eager readers. With a ragged old driver, his lips in a snarl, they knew in a moment it had to be Karl. And he whistled and hollered and called them by name. Now Peter, now Vicki, now David and Kathy, now Robbie, now Jenny, now Leslie and Atma. To the top of the patio, to the top of the rafters. Now read away, fill us with laughter. As words that before wild imaginings fly, or prayers from the faithful rise to the sky, so into the spotlight the writers they strode, with their stories, their songs, their poetic odes. Char followed them in with her head in a whirl. She turned to the right and bumped into Karl. He was looking quite furry from his head to his feet, and that hank he calls hair was hung like a sheet. Forgive me, dear Karl, if I'm sounding too zealous, but truth is, my friend, I'm just fucking jealous. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples such cuties. His cheeks were pure Pillsbury, his nose rather snooty. His tight little mouth was drawn taut in a taper, and the stubble on his chin looked like 80 grit paper. A glass of dark lager he gripped with such care, while the aroma of beer burps hung in the air. He had a sad face and a bulge for a tummy that rose when he breathed like a cardio dummy's. But he soon grabbed the mic and got down to his business, herding the writers like a shark herding fishes. He was quick with a timer and loved ringing the bell, and Char smiled when she watched him in spite of his health. His eyes going roomy, his hips far from trim. Char knew right away he avoided the gym. Still he sprang to the chat room and posted some earls, then sat back and dreamed of his hair having curls. Meanwhile the writers read on in their artistic fashion, till Karl found himself filling with unexpected passion. The words and the feelings, they filled him with shivers, and a joy he had not known without hurting his liver. Some say that Karl's heart grew 3 sizes that day. as he listened to those writers with something to say, as he thought of the attention they gave to each other, how they treated each other like sisters and brothers. And slowly that snarl peeled away from his lips, and on that cold lager he loosened his grip. He even stopped dreaming, his head covered in curls, and turned his big heart to the light in the world. He gave up his timer, turned his back on his bell, and sent his inner Grinch on a fast ride to hell. Then he picked up his mic. He could still save this night. He could turn things around, make everything right. So he plucked up his courage. He planted a smile. Then he said in a voice you could hear for 10 miles, "Thank you, writers and listeners. Thank you, Sheila and Char. Thank you, Luma the Mermaid. Thank you, my lucky stars. Thanks for the laughter, the tears, and sweet sadness. Every month, all you people have filled me with gladness. May your holidays ahead bring fresh inspiration with family and friends and culinary creations. May we come back next year a bit plumper and wiser, with stories galore and new hope on the horizon. So here's to next year and the triumph of light. Until then, Merry Christmas, and to all, a good night."
Oh.
Thank you, Karl, for all you do, man. So I'll add to Karl's thank you, and just thank Char again, and thanks Sheila. Thank all of our open micers tonight, and those who came to listen as well. And it's been a remarkable year, you know, when you look back on our YouTubes that are posted now on online, and look at all the featured readers that we've had, and all the wonderful stories that everyone and poems that people have shared along the way. It's been really quite a year. So I'm looking forward to 2026, more of the same, and all the best for the holidays, everybody. We'll see you in the new year.
Thank you, Derek.
My pleasure.
So I've posted the next Mermaid is January 28th, and it's Rona. Can't remember where she's from, but that's our open feature reader.
All right. Looking forward to it.
Night, everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is a great
Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year.
Yeah.
You're speaking.
Right.
No.
Oh, yeah. I thought you could.
Oh, there's the bell. So I think Karl says we're leaving.
Happy.
Okay. Well, Happy New Year.
Yes. Merry Christmas.
Happy
Holidays
Christmas.
and whatever. Yes. All right.
Bye, Char.
Goodbye. Time for sleep, Leslie.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 See you in January.
Yeah.
See you in January.
You bet. There, you can have this one, Karl. There you go. You're immortalized. Shall we push a couple of tables together here and gather around? Let's do that, eh?
I'm just going to try and